Hi and welcome to another episode of Eat Smoke Drink. I'm Eat Smoke Drink and thank you for joining me today. Today I am going to review the Old Particular Douglas Lang Old Particular Ledaig. So it's actually spelled as Ledaig, but it's Ledaig. Ledaig, 15-year-old single malt. A little background on Ledaig. Ledaig is actually quite an unusual whiskey. It's not every day you see Ledaig. It's owned by Tobermory Distillery. Tobermory Distillery is a non-peated version of Ledaig. So Ledaig Tobermory is exactly the same distillery, but peated and non-peated version, just like Springbank and Longrow. I chose this today because most people have probably never heard of Ledaig, let alone tried it. And Ledaig is a heavily peated variation of Tobermory. It's in the Isle of Mull. The Isle of Mull. So they have their own loch. So they have their own loch where they get their own water for their whiskies. And very unusual type of peated whiskey as well. So it's not like Isla, it's not like a peated Highland. It is very much their own. So I wanted to take you through this today because Ledaig, I believe, is one of the more underrated whiskies out there. It's not easy to find, and it's also very underrated. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's get smelling. Oh, it's crazy. So this is what I love about the Ledaig. So the Ledaig is, from the get-go, I know it's peated, but the peatedness is different. It's a fungal peat. It is a kind of like a damp, what's that word? Like a dank peat. The peat is not like super resiny like an Ardbeg or Lafroig. It's just this, I'm getting a bit of fruit in there. It is from a refilled hogshead. So a little bit of a background on what hogshead is. So hogshead, they basically get the staves and reassemble them. And so mostly it'll be bourbon, but it depends really on what they get. So what they do is they'll get a bunch of barrels, they'll take the staves, and they'll reshape them to basically form new barrels. And you could have mostly bourbon, some sherry, and so it's a real random assortment of staves in the barrel. So hogshead is quite a common use because it's very efficient, and you get, you know, a container load maybe, or a shipload of barrels, barrel staves stacked together, space efficient, and then you form them into a big hogshead. And I believe the hogshead is designed so it's easy to roll, it's not too low, it's easy to roll. And so once again, the shape makes a difference, but it's the staves as well. The staves, they're all random staves from different barrels. No one knows what barrels they're from originally. Like, it's not like one single barrel that made and then they just refilled it with spirit. So it's quite an interesting way of doing it, and they've been doing it for a long time, obviously, because it's very efficient and probably cost effective. But also the good thing about it is that it gives you a very interesting character. When you have a single barrel iteration like this, it gives you a very interesting character because, you know, when you homogenize hogshead barrels into one big blend, it's still single malt, but it's a blended single malt. Then, you know, you take with the flavor. But this one is from a single cask. So non-chill filtered, non-colored. So what you see is what you get out of the barrel. And I'm getting a funk. I'm getting a distinct funk, and that's what I love about it. It's, almost a start of smelling of blue cheese. When you get that funky blue cheese, you leave it out on the table because it needs a little bit of time to ripen in the heat. Oh, I get that funky blue cheese smell. I'm getting a faint hint of campfire smoke, burning wood, burning seaweed in the ocean. You know, when you're having a bonfire in the ocean, you just want to burn the crap out of anything you see on site. That's what I do. And so that's what I'm getting. A little bit of rubber, fresh rubber, a little bit of pine resin, and there's a smell to it that I can't quite put my finger on. But a friend of mine who's obsessed with that note says to me, he does this. He goes, "Oh, it's like the smell of women's BO." It's bizarre. It kind of is, okay? It's not in a bad way at all. It's like that, you know, and his description is, you know, like walking out in the sun in the summer and, you know, and then, yeah, you know, and she's a little bit sweaty, but not too much, and then you get that little bit of BO. And yes, I do get that, and it's not an unpleasant smell at all. It's strangely comforting. And so, it is a very complex smell. A funky smell, a complex smell, satisfying smell, a familiar smell, a slight fruitiness in there. I'm getting a little cherry. As strange as it sounds, I'm getting a little bit of mintiness in there as well, and a bit of sesame, a slight oiliness. I wouldn't say salinity, but I'm getting a little bit of salinity, actually, a little bit of saltiness in there, actually, so I'll change that, a little bit of saltiness, and a little bit of burnt sugar. A little bit of burnt sugar in there. Let's try to sample with water. Okay, with the water, there's not a huge change that stands out. The burnt sugar is more prominent. The funk dissipates immediately with water. Like, there's no funk. Saltiness comes a bit more. A slight herbal note to it. A bit of rosemary. A bit of sage smoke. A little bit of smouldering burnt rubber, burnt tire. Not too much, just a hint of it. Like, imagine yourself as Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man. And you're flying over that kind of wasteland. Yeah, that kind of burnt tire, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit of a nerd. Very nice. Both are very nice. Let's taste. Wow. Very salty. Very savory, umami, a slight sweetness, but very umami. I'm getting cured meat. I'm getting salami, a lightly peppered salami. Very fatty, very oily. The mouthfeel is rich, complex, it's big. And you know what? I am getting that woman's BO funk in there. But the finish is not uber long. Okay. But very nice. Very nice whiskey. I like. A little bit of kind of a dark cherry bitterness in the end. Dark chocolate as well. Slight bitterness. Get it a bit of vanilla. A little bit of vanilla in there. It's a hint, just a hint of vanilla. The blue cheese, you can't really get that funk, but when you drink it, you get this waft in the back of your mouth, like a methane-y, smoky waft. It's like a funk. I can't put my finger on it, but you get a funk in the back of your throat. That's what I love about the Ledaig. The Ledaig is great like that. It's not overpowering. It's a relatively well-balanced whiskey. The peat, the smoke, the funk, the BO is very well-balanced. It's the best of all the worlds, right? It's great. It's fantastic. Let's try the one with the... Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know what I would pick. I don't know what I would pick out of the water, no water. They're both so different, actually. Very strange. I'm going to say it now. Start with no water, put a few drops in with water, and let it progress, and then do it again. Rinse, repeat, because this is a very pleasurable whiskey. Not too challenging, but a good introduction to what a good, out there, left field, peated whiskey can be. Everyone goes on about Lafroig and Ardbeg, and yeah, some of the Lafroigs are great. The Ardbeg, I'm a fan, but the Ledaig is something that's extremely underrated and extremely, not really well publicized. With the water, I'm getting more funk with the water. I'm getting more funk. I'm getting dunnage. I'm getting damp paper, like old paper. Like, imagine a stack of phone books in your garage. It's been there for years, and then, you chuck it outside. It gets rained on with the water in the sun, and you get that smell of old paper. I'm getting some of that. Slightly leathery smell. Pine. It's not so woody and dry. It's more oily and piney, resonant. It's fantastic. It's a great whiskey. A little bit of spice in there as well. It's fantastic. So, yes, I like the whiskey. I'd say no water, a few drops of water, and then you'll progress through it, and then you'll really experience the whiskey for its entirety. I mean, the whiskey is not uber powerful. It is 48.4. Hey, it's higher than most. I think that, to be honest, I think that if they gave you a little bit more potential, maybe 2% more of alcohol, it will give you that versatility to really experience it fully. But I'm not going to complain. I think it's a good whiskey. I'm a fan of the Old Particular. The Old Particular is a good bottler, and they do choose a little bit of a good character as well when it comes to barrels. But yeah, it's a great whiskey. Yes, I would buy it again. This one here would probably set you back about, let's say 80 to 95 USD. Let's say 95 USD. 80 to 90 USD. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I like it. It's a great whiskey, and yes, I would definitely buy it again. Well, I didn't buy this one, and I want to thank Sunny from Hillcrest Bottle O for gifting me a dram out of this, and I promised him I won't drink all of it. Here you go. See, I promised you. Yeah. And then it's fantastic. Cigar Pairings. Cigar Pairings, I would say something sweet. Something sweet, something oily. I don't know why, but I just like the oiliness of this, and I think a little bit more oiliness will really give you that richness of experience. So a Nica rustica, an Anejo, a double Maduro maybe, something super oily would be great. But if you like your Cubans, I think a Cuban would be good as well, but pick something that's strong, a good strong Cuban. I don't recommend a Romeo Julieta. I will never recommend a Romeo Julieta. I would probably say a Bolivar. A Bolivar would be nice. A Trinidad would be nice, a Cuban Trinidad. And I think a Cohiba will be a little bit too subtle and too well integrated for this. So I reckon a Bolivar, a Bolivar and a Trinidad would suit this very nicely. The spice and the strength versus the oiliness and the robustness of this whiskey. And yeah, so thank you for joining me today. Please hit subscribe, and see you again till next time. If you have any questions about Ledaig, or if you want to correct me on how I say it a proper way, please let me know. Ledaig. I'm not too sure. Please let me know. And hey, what are your experiences with Ledaig? Any bottles you want me to try? Let me know, and I'll see if I can source it. Otherwise, see you again till next time. Cheers.